What's up, nerds? Plugged in's back then and better than ever. I'm your host, Max, along with my guests and Xander. Today, we're going to be discussing the Minecraft mob vote, the Crunchyroll lawsuit, and so much more. Let's get into that intro. So the upcoming Minecraft mob vote for 2023, we have the penguin, armadillo, and the crab, who are going to be the main candidates for this year. And who do you think will win if this vote doesn't get, boycotted into oblivion?
I think the crab's gonna win.
You do?
I've seen everybody, mostly, it's between the armadillo and the crab, but a lot of the building community, because the crab interacts with that, they are like fighting for it so hard. And then everybody else wants the armadillo because it gives dog armor, which that's one I'm personally voting for. So, yeah.
I'm in lone wolf here. I'm going to go with the penguin. It just seems, I don't know, I will say I really don't know fully what I'm talking about because I have not played Minecraft in like 5 years, so bear with me. But I do think at least, I know the whole thing about armadillo with dog armor is a great choice. And if it was not for the penguin being an option, I'd pick armadillo. But I think just for the landscape and what you're able to do with penguin, I think would be slightly a better option than armadillo. But I will say armadillo is a close second for me.
Honestly, I mean, all three are great options, but I kind of wish the penguin would win. Just not even because of what benefits it could offer, just because I like penguins, to be honest.
I mean,
because it's number one. I feel like we don't really. A lot of the times when mobs get voted in, the main thing is oh, what are the benefits? Will it add to the game? And I feel like sometimes, just maybe we can add a mob for the sake of adding a mob. So adding in a penguin, it's just it's a penguin in Minecraft. It's pretty cool. Hopefully it doesn't get blown up by a creeper.
I mean, who doesn't like penguins?
I mean,
yeah, exactly. Except
is there a thing where no one, if you don't like penguins, I just don't trust you?
Yeah. Yeah, as you should. But a lot of people don't like this. A lot of people want all three mobs to be in the game, so they are deciding to boycott the mob vote, and some are even calling to end it entirely. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I agree with that. I mean, if there are benefits to having all three of them, then what is the point of having a vote when you can just have all three of them? I don't know. I think it would just be a lot easier for everybody involved if you're able to have all three and just being able to play what you want to play. I don't see why you would need to vote on one when you're able to have all three of them.
I feel like they used to say that the mobs that didn't get voted could be added back in. So I think they should just add them later on. Maybe not right away. Hey, maybe that is too much work for them. Yeah. So just put them in the next 2 updates or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just kind of one of those things where it's the mob vote is very divisive. I can see why people want to add all them in, but at the same time, it's we don't know how they run the game. We don't know how they add things in. Because that stuff's kind of up to the CEOs. Well, speaking of CEOs, the Unity CEO proceeded to step down recently because of some recent resignations, or not resignations, because of some recent changes he made to the company and relates to profits and codes and stuff that kind of screwed over the software developers. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I mean, if he was costing their job, then he kind of deserves to go. It's sort of a thing. It's it's the same thing with any other job. If you do something that costs the job of somebody else, then you have to leave. So I feel like if you're costing someone their job, it's just not really even a question. You just gotta go.
Yeah, I'm glad he's doing that because you saw all the backlash and stuff he got for it.
Yeah.
Gotta own up to what you did. Step down.
My biggest concern is that, there's probably going to be someone to replace him, but there's probably so much infrastructure right now that, number one, because of the changes, and number two, since he's stepping down, that's a major thing. Obviously, there's going to be someone else to take his place, but it's he's been at this for a while now, so I'm just wondering what his successor is going to be, how he's going to live up to his legacy in a way. Although he probably doesn't have much of a legacy considering how he screwed over those people, but we're not going to talk about that.
I mean, I do think that it's going to be very, like you said, it's going to be difficult to try and fill his shoes. There is a lot of stuff that he did well for the company, but that's the thing about change. You have to really accept it, and you have to figure out what you're going to do to be better for the next time around. So I do think that they're going to be able to like do better now that they're getting a new person, but there's going to be growing pains. It's always going to be difficult having a new person on your team. So you just have to really figure out what the strengths and weaknesses are, and you just go from there.
Yeah. Any thoughts, Xander?
I hope that when he comes in, they're able to make something better to try and get us to forget of what just happened. But, so I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I'm really hoping whoever is the new CEO really knows what they're doing and realizes that, you know, while they do have a big responsibility, that their main job is to just make the company better. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just about like, you know, games. Like there's a lot more to it. It's people's livelihood. This is people's entire careers at stake, and just making major changes just kind of, maybe it wasn't like an off the fly consideration, but it definitely seems like there wasn't a lot of delicacy that went into this choice.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
But yeah, it's definitely one of the most concerning things that, you know, it's the first of many. But speaking of first, the first episode of Loki recently came out.
God.
I've definitely been waiting for this for a while, and completely honest with you, I almost completely forgot about Loki because it feels like forever ago since the first season. What are you guys' thoughts on the first episode?
I loved it. It didn't do anything too much yet, but they're definitely taking steps in the right direction. It's already a step up from Secret Invasion.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Don't get me started on Secret Invasion.
We don't talk about
Such
Secret
a
Invasion.
letdown. So great in the comics, can't do the same thing for live action.
But yeah, I'm excited to see what direction they take.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be a wild ride. What about you, Sanai?
I was pleasantly surprised with the premiere episode. I think they did, like Xander said, they took steps in the right direction. I am very excited to see how things are going to move going forward, because I know that there's some characters that we haven't seen since a couple movies ago, like especially with Kang, Jonathan Majors. That's going to be very interesting to see. I know that there's a bunch of things that are going on with this season, and especially now that they're coming out with episodes like days apart from each other now, instead of it being like a Wednesday every week. There's clearly something that's in this season that they're wanting us to see. So I'm very excited to see, like, well, if y'all have this much hype for this season, this better be good. So I think I honestly think it'll be a pretty decent season, and it might even top season 1 if it's done right.
Yeah, I mean, definitely for sure. In terms of like the quality and stuff, it looks already definitely, I don't want to say a step up from the last season, but it's definitely a step up from everything else we've been getting in terms of MCU shows. And honestly, I'm just excited to see how this show's going to go. Like you said, Kang is going to play a major role in this season. I also think Sylvia, too, is going to be, like, considering how she basically backstabbed Loki, which is ironic considering she's the god of mischief. I'm just wondering, what do you guys think they're going to do with her this season in terms, like, do you think that she's going to be, like, come back to Loki's side, or do you think she's going to become, like, a bigger villain, or what?
I think she's going to go on the down low. You know, just kind of relax, find who she is, because, I mean, she was supposed to be erased.
Yeah.
But now she has a chance to have a new life. So I think she's going to try and embrace that.
Yeah.
I mean, she's got a mischief. We don't know what's going to happen with her. Like, I mean, both of the ideas that you propose could happen. She could be a bigger villain this season, or she could just switch sides and just go straight to Loki's side anyway. So anything could happen with her. But honestly, as long as she's able to, like, keep the more momentum that we saw from her in season 1, then I think she'll still be able to be a major role to the season. Absolutely.
And just her character dynamic with Loki in general is definitely fascinating to see, because last season when we saw them interact with each other, it was kind of like they were looking in the mirror, but at the same time, like, they had somebody that could relate to them, because in all reality, there's one version of yourself. So while you're able to talk to people and while you're able to relate to them, you're never really going to be able to truly understand somebody like how you understand yourself. And I feel like Loki does a really great job of having that mutual understanding between two characters.
Absolutely. I also kind of am a little curious as to what they're going to do with this whole past, present, and future sort of deal that they were talking about in this trailer. I feel like it's a very interesting concept, because, I mean, NCU does this thing with time travel and stuff. I mean, we know how they are with time travel. So I'm really hoping that they don't do the thing we know best of them to do, and not like, I don't want them to screw it up, because it's a really good concept. I just don't want them to mess it up.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where it's like, I don't know. If this season does go downhill, I feel like I need my money back and I need a lawsuit.
Yeah, Disney, watch your back. We're coming for you.
Speaking of lawsuits, Crunchyroll.
Oh, God.
Oh my God, this is just painful.
Ooh.
This is a painful day for all anime fans.
Mm-hmm.
With lawsuits against Crunchyroll because of a privacy violation. They were stealing users' information and now a lot of users could be entitled to at least $30 because of I think, what is it, like 6 million they're being sued for? Yeah, it's a lot. And you guys' thoughts on the situation?
I honestly, if I'm gonna be for real, I actually thought they were gonna get sued for a lot more than this. I'm not even gonna lie. I kind of thought they would get sued for more, because this is people's like privacy. Like, this is people's like credit card information that you're talking about here. So I thought that they could easily sue for like at least 20 mil for that. But I mean, it's 6 mil. I guess they're pumping their brakes where they can. But I think that Crunchyroll is definitely obviously in the wrong. I mean, you're dealing with people's credit card and personal information, and it's definitely something that you don't want to mess with. So I'm glad that people are holding them accountable, and eventually you're gonna get their money, because like, I mean, they kind of deserve it at this point, I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, they are kind of like the Disney of anime, considering how they
Ain't
have
that
like
the truth?
they have like the monopoly over every single streaming service, and it's gotten to a point where it's like, you know, it's easier to access all this stuff, but then they change
ruin it.
subtitles of original things, they block certain anime, they get rid of this, they do that, and just to the point where it's like, okay,
It's not
guys.
fun anymore.
Yeah. Your thoughts, Sander?
I'm a little annoyed because I don't really watch anime, but I really want to get into it.
Yeah.
It seems really enjoyable, and now, where am I gonna watch it?
Yeah. I mean, you could sail the 7 seas. We don't condone piracy here at Plugged In.
Totally, yeah, we don't. But I do think it is like, I mean, I don't know if it, like, I think it is worth the lawsuit, but it is very difficult, because you really have to like pick your battles as a company. Like, do you go for what it's worth and just stop it while you can and just, you know, stop shop and just pay everybody back? Or do you really try to fight it? Because if you try to fight it, then you're going to have to pay up a lot more money than what it's worth. So,
I mean, this kind of reminds me of like when Facebook it's a little bit different of a situation, but this kind of reminds me when Facebook was selling their users' info to companies to put specific advertisements on their like Facebook accounts and For You pages. I think Crunchyroll is probably trying to do something similar, but then of course they got caught in the act. Ha! But in general, I just think it really reminds everybody that we got to be really aware of who we give our information to, and even though they are a large corporation and they seem trustworthy, they're still going to do whatever they can to get more money out of us.
absolutely. I mean, this is sort of, well, bringing up another similar situation. Apple had this whole thing, I think it was back in like 2002 or 2003, where the band U2 had their album downloaded to everyone's Apple Music. And a lot of people are like, wait, first of all, that's not cool, because how do you even know my information to be able to do that?
Yeah.
So it was a very big scandal. And I feel like it's very similar in the fact of like, you're overriding people's public information, A, to be able to do something like that, and B, doing something that no one wanted. Who wants a U2 album? No one wants
I don't know, U2's pretty good.
Okay.
I mean, it is. Like,
Okay, Max.
okay, U2's no longer an up-and-coming band, but speaking of up-and-coming, we got some really good up-and-coming movies. We got Killers of the Flower Moon on October 20th. You guys gonna go see that?
Probably. I mean, I like Leonardo DiCaprio. He seems decent. I think it'll be a decent movie. I mean, it's Martin Scorsese. I can't say anything.
I don't know. That one kind of flew under my radar.
Yeah, same, to be honest. I mean, I've heard about it, but completely honest, I didn't even forgot it existed until this episode. Of course, Five Nights at Freddy's, October 27th.
Our favorite movie here at
Of
Plugged In.
course, obviously, you can't go wrong with peak fiction. I hope I do not regret saying those words. The Marvels on November 10th.
Yes, I'm so excited.
Yeah, pretty good. Hopefully, it's a good MCU movie compared to everything else we've gotten so far.
It should be. Seems fun.
I mean, yeah. I mean, especially with the 3 girls they currently have as the team, I'm actually kind of excited for this one. I mean, we haven't seen Monica Rambeau since WandaVision, and at least I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on that. But I'm like, I like the current team we have so far. All 3 girls seem to be pretty well-rounded characters thus far, and I think it'll be a decent team to watch.
Yeah. And finally, Hunger Games: Ballad of the Ballad of the Songbirds and Snakes, November 17th. Definitely probably going to go see that considering it's Hunger Games. So.
I mean, yeah. Also, the casting, I talked about this before. The casting of this movie is so good, at least for me. I mean, Peter Dinklage and Viola Davis are amazing. So as long as those 2 play their roles fairly well, I'm going to enjoy the movie regardless. But I think it's going to be very interesting seeing as this is like a prequel to everything going down. And sometimes book franchises don't have the best time with prequels. So I'm really hoping that they prove me wrong and actually do it right this time.
Yeah.
I'm very excited because I actually recently rewatched the first Hunger Games, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is the greatest thing ever made. So I hope they can just keep up with that feeling.
Yeah. I really hope there's a Moist Critical cameo in there somewhere. Well, that's all the time we have for today's episode. I'm Max, along with my co-hosts Sanai and Xander. Tune in next week as we have more riveting discussions in pop culture. Have a good night, Millersville.